Welcome to Pawpaw TV. Today we present an original program, One-on-One with Jerry McLaughlin. He discusses his life's work with Richard Lund. Today's program is brought to you by Gogees.com. Gogees.com. Your eyes will love you. This material is for educational purposes only. If you are sick, see a doctor. Maybe you can find one that speaks herbal medicine. And now, One-on-One with Jerry McLaughlin.
After that, then, were you able to compare these against the current drugs, for instance, like Taxol or Oxygen?
Right. Actually, every time we came up with a pure compound, we would then send it over and spend $120 and have it assayed at the Purdue Cell Culture Lab, and it's a standard procedure there to run a positive control. And the positive control was always adriamycin. And so we had comparative data right from the start with adriamycin as a standard anti-cancer product. And so all of the data was stacked up there. And then I sent the pure compounds as well to the National Cancer Institute, where they have a huge panel of 60 human tumors in cell culture. And there you have comparable data with Taxol, the vinca-alkaloids, adriamycin, and bleomycin. All the standard anti-cancer drugs have been through that panel, so you can look at the results there. And the pawpaw compounds, in almost every case, are more potent than the standard compounds.
Was there anything else you noticed about the pawpaw compounds at that point, or the?
Well, we noticed that probably the most exciting thing was an observation I made way back in 1988, and that was that the pawpaw compounds were killing the drug-resistant cancer cells.
Oh.
And they would run the non-resistant cancer cell and then the drug-resistant cancer cell. And the way you would do that is you would take, say, like breast cancer. There's one called MCF7 breast cancer. You grow it in the presence of non-lethal concentrations of adriamycin for a period of time, and eventually the cancer cell gets used to growing in adriamycin, and now adriamycin will no longer kill it. You know, it's like an antibiotic becoming resistant in a bacteria. And so we had then the parent cell line, say of MCF7 breast cancer, and then MCF7/ADR, which is the adriamycin resistant. And ran those two side by side, and lo and behold, I couldn't believe it. The pawpaw compounds were killing the ADR line, the resistant line, at 1/5 the concentration it took to kill the parent cancer cell, whereas with adriamycin itself it would take 1,000 times more to kill the adriamycin resistant cell line. And I knew right then we had something that was extremely important here, something that was working against drug-resistant cancer.
So I know that you took pawpaw's compounds to some of the drug companies.
Right.
What happened with those meetings, and did they evaluate the?
Right. I had good support from what was then Upjohn, which is now Pfizer. Pat McGovern there at Upjohn worked with the pawpaw compounds and did some very expensive studies with those compounds. For example, with L1210 mouse leukemia, they found that the pawpaw compounds were 300 times the potency of Taxol, and whereas Taxol would cause a 10% weight loss over a 10-day period in the mice, in other words, the mice were sick with Taxol. The pawpaw compounds, some of them would actually cause a weight gain, 5% weight gain over 10 days, so the mice are happy with the pawpaw compounds, and yet the tumors would be decreased and the lifespan would be increased. And they did a very expensive study with athymic mice. These are mice that have no thymus gland. And they took the A2780 human ovarian cancer, this is called Gilder-Radler cancer. And these mice that have no thymus cannot reject anything. And so, because they don't have any T cells.
Right.
The T cells are the cells responsible for recognizing foreign materials. So you can take human tumors in and put them subcutaneously under the skin of the mice, and the tumors will grow. And in about 50 to 60 days, those tumors will overwhelm the mouse and eventually kill the mouse. But you run the assay and you inject the mouse every day for 10 days with the pawpaw material. And we ran cisplatin, which is a standard anti-cancer drug, as a positive control in that. And as I recall, in this one experiment, cisplatin had a 78% tumor growth inhibition, and the best pawpaw compound had a 75% tumor growth inhibition. So this is biologically almost comparable, and yet cisplatin is a multi-million-dollar drug that's out there, you see.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew we had something then. And that one study, Dr. McGovern explained to me, cost Upjohn about $66,000.
And what did you notice also about the cisplatin in terms of what is that? Is that a hard drug to take?
Oh, cisplatin is a very toxic drug. Those mice with cisplatin in 10 days lost 5% of their body weight, so
mm-hmm.
it's not a very pleasant drug to take. Whereas with the pawpaw, again, we saw very little weight loss
mm-hmm.
during the 10-day period. Yeah.
So up to that time, you had hoped that the pawpaw would be a friendly substance for
right.
the human body.
Right. We weren't seeing anything that would suggest that at the effective dose there would be some toxicity.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then Upjohn took off on a couple of other blind alleys that they were going up, and they left us.
Mm-hmm.
And in the meantime, Pat McGovern was a friend of this fellow named Jerry Grindy at the Eli Lilly Company in Indianapolis, which was close to Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
And so he suggested to Jerry that he pick it up. And so Jerry was testing it in 1993, but unfortunately Dr. Grindy died of lymphoma in the fall of 1993. And so with his death, Lilly's interest in pawpaw waned, and his successor didn't choose to take anything on that he had in the pipeline, you see. So a lot of decisions get made just based on politics and
personalities.
Yeah, personalities, right.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate,
Yes.
but very few things are done anymore on the basis of merit.
Mm-hmm. What did you do next after that? Lilly dropped it.
Well, I then paraded around with the help of Dr. Sophia Fotopoulos from Clinical Reference Lab in Kansas City. She got very interested in the project, and she helped me to get invitations to speak at different companies. And I made the rounds of Bristol and Merck and all the big pharma.
Mm-hmm.
And they would come in with their notepads and take notes, and 3 months later inform me that among the many compounds that they have in the pipeline themselves, they simply cannot justify taking something from the outside. And so, in other words, get lost with your idea. We'll wait till your patents are expired and then we'll consider it again. And that was especially disappointing. That's right.
Yeah.